Welcome to Lecture 5.3. Today we're going to cover knowledge as a structural constraint in motor development. So to go over our outline, we're going to talk about the types of knowledge, the differences in experts and novices, the gender differences, and age-related differences. We're also going to touch on cognitive speed. So knowledge is viewed as an individual constraint. And a knowledge base is the amount of information somebody has on a specific topic. Performance is facilitated by the practice of physical skills and by an increase in knowledge, and specifically in the increase in the size of the knowledge base. This increase in size of the knowledge base gives us more effective use of cognitive processes, less demand for conscious attention to some tasks, and less of a need to remember a great deal of information. And these tend to be sport or task specific. The types of knowledge are declarative, procedural, and strategic. Declarative is factual information. So these can be seen as just simple facts, such as Independence Day is July 4th. And these tend to be topic specific, so that was a historical topic, a historical fact of declarative knowledge. Procedural is how-to information. So specifically here, this would be, in terms of a motor skill example, we can talk about riding a bike. That's a how-to. And again, that's topic specific, because riding a bike does not necessarily make me know how to write something, because it's very different. And strategic knowledge is the general rules and strategies used to perform well. And this can be more generalizable across activities, such as if you want to perform well, you generally want to make your opponent, if you're playing a sport against someone else, you want them to perform badly. So in terms of novice-expert differences, as compared with novices, experts have more declarative and procedural knowledge. They organize information in a methodical structure, and they organize knowledge relative to the goal of the structure. They analyze problems at a more advanced level, recognize patterns more quickly, pre-plan some responses, and spend more time learning about the topic. And these differences exist regardless of age. So in terms of the development of the knowledge base, declarative knowledge comes before procedural knowledge, and strategic knowledge develops last. Research in basketball has shown that increasing the knowledge in 8 to 12-year-old boys has actually led to better decisions. In 7 to 12-year-old baseball players, problem-solving was related to knowledge rather than age, meaning that the more knowledge that a person had about the sport, they performed better and they problem-solved better. In terms of baseball shortstops, procedural knowledge was evident by adolescents. And in 18 to 22-year-old tennis players, adult novices had fewer tactical concepts than youth experts, meaning that regardless of the age, the expertise is really what determined the performance. So there's also gender differences that exist, and these may be due to differences from the knowledge of a sport. And boys' sports knowledge development is fostered more so than girls. You can see it as basic as sport merchandise is targeted towards boys. So in terms of playing multiple sports to increase your overall knowledge base about sports, many times boys are encouraged to know statistics, to know how to do different sports, versus girls, it's more acceptable socially to not necessarily play as many sports or know as much. So that's kind of how the gender-related differences stem from the socialization differences in boys and girls. In terms of older adulthood, expert knowledge may offset some losses in physical ability. And learning about an activity can improve an older adult's performance. In terms of memory, motivation and knowledge base affect memory in adults, and fit older adults perform better on memory tasks compared to unfit, indicating the importance of physical activity. So sometimes, for example, you see an old lady in your yoga class, And she is so much better than you, even though she is 60 years old. She has much weaker muscles than you, and you just feel kind of bad. But the fact that she's an expert and she has a wider knowledge base of the different postures and what her body can do, she's able to get into this headstand while you, actually me, am not able to. In terms of speed of cognitive function, many activities require quick and accurate responses. Researchers generally work from an information processing perspective. Children and older adults take longer to process cognitive information compared to young adults. So many times if we're thinking about in terms of cognitive processing speed, we can think of it as an inverted U, in that children and older adults are on opposite ends of the spectrum. If we put age on the x-axis and you visualize an inverted U, we see college-age adults really peaking in cognitive processing speed, versus children and older adults tend to be slower. So the younger you are, the slower you process. The older you are, past collegiate age, is when you tend to slow down. In terms of speed of cognitive processing in children, they have slower reaction times. And time is measured between the onset of the stimulus and the initiation of the response. Speed increases from age 3 all the way up to adolescence. And it's a continuous tracking process, as the process involves matching movement to a target, and time to response improves with advancing age. And again, slows down in older adulthood. In terms of selection of a response, selection improves with advancing age as well, peaking at around the college age. It improves especially with incompatible stimulus-response arrangements, meaning that when you see, for example, an incompatible stimulus-response arrangement would be when you see a red light pop up, you have to press a blue button. Those are incompatible. A compatible would be red and red, and so on and so forth. And younger children tend to not really be able to cognitively process that a red light does not necessarily mean you press the red button. In terms of older adulthood slowing, the central nervous system functions are really responsible for the slower choice reaction time more than a simple reaction time. So a choice reaction time would be, for example, that I gave before, when you have multiple colored lights that can flash and you press a colored button in response. A simple reaction time is simply when you see a light of any color, you just press a button. So choice means you have multiple stimuli that give multiple responses. Simple is a one-to-one. And slowing is more pronounced on more complicated tasks, and there's no change of speed in simple repetitive motions. Learning of a new task also becomes slower. Developmentalists speculate that neural noise increases with age, and this is what really contributes to the slowing. However, older adults can minimize these effects by maintaining an active lifestyle. Active older adults are not much slower than young adults in reaction time. Meta-analysis established that fitness training improves cognitive performance, especially if it uses a challenging exercise program at a sufficient training level. Exercise may favorably affect both brain structure and function. An older adult brain may have more plasticity than previously thought. It was a quick lecture today, and just to wrap it up, talking about how performance can be limited by limited knowledge. Performance can be enhanced by expert knowledge. Knowledge can be acquired at any age, and acquiring knowledge takes time and experience. If you have any questions at all about this lecture, any of the assignments, or anything at all, please feel free to shoot me an email, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Have a good rest of your day.